Welcome to this special feature on education in the United States. The US continues to be one of the most opportune countries where students would like to go and pursue their higher education. ముఖ్యంగా తెలుగు రాష్ట్రాల నుంచి అమెరికాకు వెళ్ళి చదువుల కోసం వెళ్తున్న వారి సంఖ్య ఏటా పెరుగుతోంది. ఈ నేపథ్యంలో we have with us some very special people from the US Consulate in Hyderabad. Let me introduce our guests. We have with us Consul General Jennifer Larson. Thank you, CG Larson, for joining us here. And I have with me ఇక్కడ సాక్షి స్టూడియోస్లో మనతో పాటు నాన్ ఇమిగ్రెంట్ వీసా చీఫ్గా వ్యవహరిస్తున్న ఏమీ ఎకిన్బర్గ్. నైస్ టు మీట్ యూ ఏమీ. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. అలాగే సుజనా మేరెడ్డి is here with us. She's a regional officer for US India Education Foundation.
Thank you.
Hello Andi. And alage welcome Andi. We have Manoj Pushpala with us, who's pursued 2 master's programs in the United States. He's here to represent the students and speak about his own experience.
Sure.
So CG Larson, first of all, thank you very much. This is going to be really useful, the conversation we're going to have to a lot of potential students who have a lot of questions about.
Certainly.
Yeah. So you've been in Hyderabad for over a year now?
No, just about 11 months actually.
11 months. So
yes.
how do you like it here?
It's been terrific. This is actually my second time working in India. I was in Mumbai before, as well as with Amy. We were together. But it's just been a superb past couple of 11 months, meeting students, but also just being out in the city, the food, the culture, the traveling, the history. It's just been absolutely wonderful.
That's really great to know. So how do you see the US-India relations growing, especially with reference to the 2 Telugu states?
So I did not know this before I came to this part of India, but Telugu is the fastest growing language in the United States, which is astonishing. The ties between this part of India and the United States are incredibly strong. I mean, it's a cliche, but everybody has either a family member who is reading, who's studying or working or getting married or has spent time in the United States. And so it is really, the Telugu diaspora in the US is really one of the most, I think, one of the best things about being here in Hyderabad is because we have so many people who are kind of champions for the US-India relationship in this part of the country.
So, Amy, I know we don't do non-immigrant visas in the US Consulate in Hyderabad, but do we do?
We do quite a few non-immigrant visas.
You do? Oh, I'm
yes,
wrong
we
then.
do.
Yeah.
So we have had the exciting opportunity within the past couple of months to move into a much larger facility that has a lot more windows, and we're eager to help facilitate qualified students in their travel to the United States as quickly as possible. We've been staffing up since that new consulate has opened, so we're welcoming additional visa applicants every day.
Right, that's nice to know. అంటే ఇప్పుడు వీసాల కోసం ఎదురు చూస్తున్న వాళ్ళ సంఖ్య పెరిగిపోతుంది కాబట్టి దాన్ని మరింత సరళతరం చేసే ప్రక్రియలో ఉంది US Consulate at Hyderabad. సో సుజన, మీరు విదేశీ విద్యకి వెళ్తున్న విద్యార్థుల విభాగం మీరు హ్యాండిల్ చేస్తారు ముఖ్యంగా. So I understand there's a very exciting fair coming up. Would you call it a fair, an education fair? That's we have 40 universities coming very soon too.
Yes. So there is a upcoming fair that is coming up on August 26th between 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Novotel Convention Center, and we have more than 40 universities coming in from various different across the US. It's our flagship event that we do every year,
right.
And we're very excited about it, and it is a best opportunity for students from this part of the country to get to hear from the horse's mouth, to get to understand what is the admission criteria, what are the different scholarships available, what is it that they look for admissions in a student. So I think it is a great opportunity for students, and it's for free. And we just need students to register for it. Students, parents, educational organizations register for it, and they can just walk in to Novotel Convention Center.
So all under one roof. అంటే ఆల్మోస్ట్ లైక్ మీకు ఎవరెవరికైతే ఏ ప్రశ్నలు ఉంటాయో అవన్నీ ఆన్సర్ చేయడానికి ఒకే చోట, అది కూడా US Consulate, US Embassy approved అంటే అనగానే ఒక credibility వచ్చేస్తుంది. So Amy, obviously the first basic question that a lot of people, students have a lot of access to information on the internet right now, but if I were to apply for an F1 visa, so what is the first thing I should get, as my file ready?
So I think the first thing you want to do is both research and then apply to a variety of US universities. And we recognize that there are thousands of universities in the United States, and there are thousands of reasons for choosing these universities.
Thousands.
So once you're admitted, You make your school choice, and then your school will issue you what's called a Form I-120. Essentially, it's a basic sheet of paper with information about you, your language ability, your course of study, and your undergraduate versus graduate level. Once you have that in hand, you can go online and actually fill out your U.S. visa application. All of the information for that is available at travel.state.gov. You'll also need to pay your non-refundable visa application fee. That can also be done online. Once all of that is squared away, you'll want to go to ustraveldocs.com and make sure that you make an appointment for 2 slots. The first is at a visa application center to get your photo taken and to get your fingerprints taken, and then the second is for your visa interview. Right before you come in for your visa interview, and especially for our students, it's important that they go and pay their SEVIS fee. It's just a fee for the school that can be paid online, but you'll need a copy of your receipt when you come for your visa interview.
You do.
It's a very straightforward process.
And how soon do you recommend students prepare for this kind of a thing?
We recommend, given that there has been a wait time over the past couple of months, we do recommend that students apply early and as early as possible. If you have your paperwork in hand, you might want to go ahead and fill out that visa application and look to make your appointments as soon as you can get in. So the visa wait times are also available on travel.state.gov, so students can go and look and see where perhaps the shortest wait time across India might be, so they can get in as quickly as possible to meet that school start date.
And obviously, does it happen that I have an admission, I have everything in place, but I don't have a visa slot? So then what do I do?
So that's a frequent question that we receive, and we do try our absolute best to make sure that people can get in for a visa interview before that school start date. If you haven't been able to secure a visa interview, go to US Travel Docs and submit a request for an expedited appointment. You'll also need to include a copy of your I-20, your student form, with that request, and we will do our utmost to get you in so you have a chance to get that student visa in time to travel.
సో సుజన, మరొకసారి ఇప్పుడు 40 యూనివర్సిటీస్ని మీరు ఆహ్వానించారని చెప్తున్నారు. ఏ ప్రాతిపదికన ఈ యూనివర్సిటీస్ని ఏ బేసిస్ మీద మీరు షార్ట్ లిస్ట్ చేసి తీసుకొస్తున్నారు?
మేము షార్ట్ లిస్ట్ చేయలేదు. సో there are more than 4,700 accredited institutions in the US, and we represent all of them. So we just put out a notice saying that this is our flagship event, and this is how, these are the different places you can visit, and they choose the city they want to come in, and on that basis they just come to Hyderabad. So special criteria అనేది ఏం లేదు. We represent all the 4,700 universities plus universities.
4,700 యూనివర్సిటీస్ ఉన్నాయి. అంటే అంతకంటే ఎక్కువ ఉండే యూనివర్సిటీస్ అన్నిటికీ కూడా మీరు అధికారిక హోదా కల్పించారు, అంటే ఒక అక్రెడిటెడ్ యూనివర్సిటీస్గా.
There are more than 4,700 accredited institutions. Okay, there could be institutions that are unaccredited, which we do not work with. So that's the credibility they come with when they come to our fairs.
సో ఈ 40 మంది వచ్చినప్పుడు అంటే వాళ్ళలో ఏ యూనివర్సిటీ అనేది మీరు డూ యూ ఆల్సో గైడ్, ఆర్ ఇట్స్ జస్ట్ an open forum and students get to decide?
A university అనేది it's an individual's choice. It's the student that has to decide which university best fits for their requirement, because what fits for me might not be the best requirement for you. So if I have a requirement to go do my research in a particular field, I will look for a research university where the most publications happen in that field. If I have a requirement to be in a geography that is not a very big city, so I will look for a university that fits my requirement of getting the research done, at the same time not located in a big city. So depending on what you're looking for, if I have a requirement of going to a university that costs me less, so it's my financial status that I want to choose on which. So it really depends on what the student wants or what the parents of the students want.
Manoj's experience on how he chose his university and what his experience was studying abroad.
Sure. From my perspective, నాకు కంప్యూటర్ నెట్వర్క్స్ మీద చాలా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉండింది. So because of that, I shortlisted the universities that have very good research program in computer networks, and I looked at professors who are actually doing a lot of research in that particular area, and then I chose my universities, because once you get into university that has area of research that are prominent in the area that you like, so the opportunities for funding and scholarship also goes up. The opportunities for you to do on-campus jobs, work with the professor very closely, that also goes up. Not only that, I really enjoy the US education system on the whole because it's very hands-on experience. The grading system is based on the quizzes, the assignments, the case studies, your project work with your other colleagues in the class, and also it's not only the final exam like how we have in India. Just the final exam counts for the most of the grading system. Over there, everything counts. The final exam might be only 10%.
I also want to ask you, C.G. Larson, and also then Amy, perhaps, with the new digitized, things that are happening in the consulate, how have visa procedures become more efficient and more student-friendly?
I think the process is still it hasn't changed all that much. I mean, you go online and let Amy answer that.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have tried to keep as much of that as in the past, as online as possible, so that people can fill things out at their own convenience, but they can also submit it and there's an electronic record of everything. Two things I probably will highlight. One, and this isn't speaking necessarily to student visas, but more broadly to our non-immigrant visas as a whole, applicants who have previously had a visa and who qualify for our interview waiver program can now make appointments online to drop that at any location across India so that they can take advantage perhaps of lower wait times and better customer service because they'll get their passport back more quickly with that US visa in it. Students also have the advantage of can also take advantage of the interview waiver program. If they've had any type of US visa before, they can then submit via interview waiver for their student visa. So all of the directions to do that are both on travel.state.gov as well as US Travel Docs if they have any questions about that.
Mm-hmm. So the interview waiver program is, I think, a big
I think we're trying to direct as many people as possible towards that, both for their own convenience and for the convenience of the applicants that do need to come in for that interview to make sure they get in as quickly as possible.
I know a lot of students who get really nervous before the interview because, especially if it's their first time, but like you mentioned, they should have had a previous visa to qualify for this.
Yes, and if they have any questions about their qualifications for that, we would ask them to review all of the information on US Travel Docs.
What is the difference between a J1 and an F1 visa?
So it really depends on what you want to do in the United States and sort of what your course of study is. Fs are for people who are going to participate in like the full course of study that will result in an academic degree. It can be at the undergraduate, or the master's level, or a PhD program. Js are for exchange programs, and there's a wide range of activities that might fall under that. The U.S. has a wide number of exchange programs, things like research scholars, going to spend a semester abroad at a U.S. university, but the qualifications, broadly speaking, for those are the same.
సో ఈ కాంటెక్స్లో ఒకటి అడగాలి మిమ్మల్ని తప్పకుండా సుజన, మీరు స్టూడెంట్ యూనివర్సిటీస్కి సంబంధించిన ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ సేకరించారు కాబట్టి ఫ్రాడ్యులెంట్ యూనివర్సిటీస్ అంటే ఫేక్ యూనివర్సిటీస్ బారిన పడకుండా విద్యార్థులు వాళ్ళు ఎలా కాపాడుకోవాలి?
So, U.S. government, State Department has a list of accredited institutions on the website.
Right.
So, ఇప్పుడు student choose చేసుకోవాలనుకోండి, if they said like I want to decide and I want to apply for this school, they can go onto the website and look at that list and only apply if the university appears on the list. That is one way to do it. The second way is there are 8 centers. There are so many centers, like 8 centers in India, Education USA centers that are funded by the US government to give out this authentic information. So they can reach out. Now it is easy to reach out virtually also. They can write to us. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on all the social media. They can read, they can WhatsApp, they can download our Education USA app that can be operational on both Apple and Android devices. So when they reach out to us, we will guide students, and all free of cost and with the authenticity we come with.
ఈ కాంటెక్స్లో మంచి యూనివర్సిటీ ఎంచుకున్న తర్వాత సుజన, మామూలుగా అకాడమిక్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అంతా ఆల్రౌండ్ డెవలప్మెంట్ చూస్తారని చెప్పారు. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్ ఆఫ్ హ్యావింగ్ అ స్టాండర్డ్ GPA ఫర్ దెమ్ టు ఈదర్ పర్స్యూ their education, do their masters or even go in for a placement?
GPA is one measurement of looking at the academic performance, but when it comes to admission criteria, US universities take a holistic approach.
Right.
So they look into your extracurricular activities. Do you have any community work experience or internship, research work experience, or any kind of things that you have done outside your academia. So that is the best way to evaluate a student, because it is in US education is not just about getting certain marks or like a ranking and all. It is about you as a human being.
Yeah.
Education is very, very holistic.
So what do you think about community college education in the United States? Because I know, for example, my boy, he studied in community college for the first year and then he transferred to university.
Right.
So how does it contribute?
Again, community colleges are accredited higher education institutes in the US, and they offer a wide range of educational programs and certificate courses. And many times it's a very cost effective approach to getting a bachelor's degree.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
they typically give out a 2-year associate degree, and this is one of the educational pathway international students can choose, where the first 2 years education in US is always about the general education, right? So they can finish the first 2
All
years
your
at a
courses,
community college. Yeah, general courses, right? So first 2 years at a community college and later transfer themselves to a university that offers a 4-year degree, which is absolutely great when you count the finances that will account for it.
Makes so much of, makes such a lot of sense that అంటే మామూలుగా విద్యార్థులు ఎవరైతే వెళ్ళి చదువుకోవాలనుకుంటున్నారో, ఆర్థిక స్తోమత లేని వాళ్ళు, లేదు ఫీజుని కొంత సేవ్ చేయాలనుకుంటున్న వాళ్ళు, 1 సంవత్సరం పాటు లేదు 2 సంవత్సరాల పాటు అసోసియేట్ డిగ్రీ వరకు కమ్యూనిటీ కాలేజ్లో చదువుకుని ఆ కాలేజ్ నుంచి దానికి సంబంధించిన యూనివర్సిటీకి ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు ఆ క్రెడిట్స్ అన్ని కూడా.
అట్లా కమ్యూనిటీ కాలేజెస్, చాలా కమ్యూనిటీ కాలేజెస్కి దే హ్యావ్ లింక్స్ విత్ ద యూనివర్సిటీస్. సో వెన్ యూ గ్రాడ్యుయేట్ ఫ్రమ్ సర్టన్ కమ్యూనిటీ కాలేజ్, యూ కెన్ అప్లై టు సర్టన్, యూ ఆటోమేటిక్లీ క్వాలిఫై విత్ సర్టన్ GPA and certain criteria. So it's a wonderful thing, I would say, in the US.
Yeah, I'm sure. So Manoj, మీరేమన్నా మీ కోర్స్ వర్క్ మీరు సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు మీకు కావాల్సినట్టు ఇదే, how did it enrich you for you to come back into what you're doing right now?
I think like Sujanagar was saying, that it actually builds your personality over the period of time.
Right.
It's not just the coursework is only part of it. Definitely initial ga India nunchi elnappudu there was always issues related to accent, understanding the accent. Mana accent వాళ్ళకి అర్థం కావదు, వాళ్ళ accent మనకు అర్థం అవ్వదు. కాకపోతే చాలా టైం what I have done is I've been very bold and asked them, can you please repeat? Because like, or can you please slow down? So ఇలా అన్నప్పుడు వాళ్ళు స్లో డౌన్ చేస్తారు అండ్ మనకు అర్థమవుతుంది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైమ్ ద రివర్స్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో ట్రూ, వేర్ లైక్ వీ ఇండియన్స్ అండ్ ఎస్పెషల్లీ తెలుగు పీపుల్ టెన్ టు స్పీక్ వెరీ ఫాస్ట్. సో వీ హ్యావ్ టు ఆల్సో స్లో డౌన్ సో దట్ పీపుల్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ఓవర్ దేర్. అండ్ వాట్ ఐ హ్యావ్ లర్న్డ్ ఈస్ టు మెయింటైన్ ఎ న్యూట్రల్ యాక్సెంట్, నాట్ నెసరీ పిక్ అప్ అన్ అమెరికన్ యాక్సెంట్, బట్ ఫోకస్ ఆన్ యువర్ వొకాబులరీ సో దట్ it is better. And with that, you can actually communicate with many people, you can network with many people, there will be a lot of international students who are coming from different countries. You can understand their culture, you can understand their way of solving different problems, whatever problems they may be, in different subjects, whatnot. Their perspectives are different, you will learn a lot. So I think that the education system of not being very practical, being very hands-on, helped me to actually become a better individual at what I'm doing right now.
Right. I'd just like to sum up what we've discussed so far for the benefit of our viewers. ఒకటి, వీసా ప్రక్రియ ఏదైతే ఉందో, స్టూడెంట్ వీసాస్కి అప్లై చేస్తున్న వాళ్ళు సఫిషియెంట్లీ అహెడ్ ఆఫ్ టైం వీసాల కోసం అప్లై చేయడం ఇంపార్టెంట్. అండ్ ఎవరెవరైతే ఇంటర్వ్యూ వేవర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్, అంటే ఇంటర్వ్యూ అవసరం లేకుండా వాళ్ళ వీసాని పొందే అవకాశం ఉంటే అది వినియోగించుకోవచ్చు. ఒకవేళ గతంలో వీసా ఉంటే కనుక బహుశా దీనికి వాళ్ళు క్వాలిఫై అవుతారు. క్వాలిఫై అవుతారా లేదా చూసుకోవాలంటే US వెబ్సైట్లో మరింత సమాచారం ఉంటుంది. అండ్ అలాగే వీసా స్లాట్స్ అందుబాటులో లేవని చెప్పి చాలామంది విద్యార్థులకి వస్తున్న అంటే మెసేజ్కి దానికి పరిష్కారం ఏంటంటే, ఎప్పటికప్పుడు వీసా స్లాట్స్ కోసం వెతుకుతూ ఉండడం, దేశవ్యాప్తంగా ఎక్కడెక్కడ స్లాట్స్ ఓపెన్ అప్ అవుతున్నాయో చూసుకుంటూ ఉండడం. కానీ ఎట్టి పరిస్థితుల్లో వీసా ఇచ్చి పంపించడమే ధ్యేయంగా US కాన్సులేట్ పనిచేస్తుంది. కాబట్టి ఎక్కడో అక్కడ ఎమర్జెన్సీ బేసిస్ మీద అయినా, ఎక్స్పెడైటెడ్ ప్రాసెస్ అయినా వాళ్ళు ప్రయత్నించి వీసా ఇచ్చే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తారు. అండ్ దీంతో పాటు 40 యూనివర్సిటీస్తో జరగబోయే ఒక ఫేర్ ఆగస్టు 26న ఇక్కడ జరగబోతోంది హైదరాబాద్లో, నోవోటెల్లో. అండ్ ఈ 40 యూనివర్సిటీస్ కాకుండా ఇంకా 4 4,700కి పైగా అక్రెడిటెడ్ యూనివర్సిటీస్ అమెరికాలో ఉన్నాయి. అక్రెడిటెడ్ యూనివర్సిటీస్ అంటే అమెరికాలో అధికారిక హోదా ఉన్న యూనివర్సిటీస్. వీటికి మాత్రమే అప్లై చేసి వెళ్ళవలసిందిగా సూచన, సలహా. అండ్ ఈ 40 యూనివర్సిటీస్లో కూడా మీరు ఒకవేళ మరిన్ని ప్రశ్నలతో ఆ ఫేర్ అటెండ్ చేయదలుచుకుంటే అది కంప్లీట్గా ఉచితంగా ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ పొందవచ్చును. అండ్ ఫ్రమ్ వాట్ వీ అండర్స్టాండ్ యూ హ్యావ్ మూవ్ టు ద న్యూ ఫెసిలిటీ here in Nanakramguda. Nanakramguda, and I heard that it's a really beautiful building.
Yes.
And I remember the one here where we used to have to walk from the end of the street.
Yes.
But so do you have any plans, C.G. Larson, of having a facility like this in Andhra Pradesh? Because we represent both Telugu states.
Of course.
And we're hoping that students from AP will, can get to travel to don't need to travel to Hyderabad. Yeah.
So we don't have plans for any visa facilities or a new consulate in Andhra. Right now, the consulate in Hyderabad is meant to serve this part of India. As you know, consulates or embassies aren't in all the states here in India. We have 4 consulates and 1 embassy to try to serve a large geographical area. But we hope that the experience coming to Hyderabad, understanding that travel is not always easy, deep commitment to this part of India for us to have a facility that's so modern and so just well equipped for so many different things.
We just, waiting to come and take a look.
Yes. Yeah.
And take a tour of the new consulate facility. లో 3 kinds of visas ఉన్నాయి. M visa ఫర్ ప్రొఫెషనల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్, కొన్ని స్పెసిఫిక్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్కి వెళ్ళేవాళ్ళు. F1 వీసా బ్రాడ్గా ఉండే స్టూడెంట్ ఇది వీసా. అండ్ అలాగే J1 వీసా అనేది ఎక్స్చేంజ్ ప్రోగ్రాంలో భాగంగా వెళ్తున్న వాళ్ళ కోసం ఇది. అండ్ సుజన, సో బిఫోర్ వి వైండ్ అప్, ఇప్పుడు 40 యూనివర్సిటీస్ రాబోతున్నాయి. ఈ 40 కాకుండా ఒకవేళ మరింత ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ యాక్సెస్ చేయాలంటే మిమ్మల్ని సంప్రదించవచ్చని చెప్తున్నారు.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we are a center that is based out of the US consulate. It's www.usief.org.in. And we have our numbers that is being displayed on the scroll, which they can call, and then we are there to help. You can reach out on social media, you can download our app, and we are there whenever there is a message for us.
Yeah, I was just asking Sujana, one mistake or one thing that students are failing to fulfill as far as the visa requirements go.
So I would say, to clear up maybe one point of confusion, it's what you need to bring to your visa interview, especially for students. It's very straightforward, and there are far fewer documents than people think that they need. Essentially, you need a copy of your passport, a copy of your visa confirmation page saying that you have an appointment, a copy of your SEVIS payment receipt, and then the paperwork that's required for your visa class. So an I-20 for an F1 or a DS 2019 for a J1 visa applicant. That's it. You don't need any other documents. I would reiterate that this is an interview-based process. It's not a document-based process, so it might be short. The interviewing officer might not ask for any documents at all,
right.
But we would strongly caution against people bringing in fake documents. You do not need them.
సో కావాల్సిన పత్రాలకి అదనంగా ఏమీ అవసరం లేదని చెప్పి మరి నొక్కి వక్కాణించి చెప్తున్నారు. సో దట్ దెర్ ఇస్ అబ్సల్యూట్లీ నో స్కోప్ ఫర్.
చాలా మంది ఏమనుకుంటారంటే, ఇప్పుడు నేను ఫీజ్ మొత్తం కట్టకుండా ఒకవేళ దెర్ ఇస్ అ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ టు పే ద ఫీస్, నేను ఒక 20 hours ఇస్ అ లీగల్ వర్క్ దట్ దే కెన్ డూ వెన్ దర్ అ స్టూడెంట్ కదా. ఆ 20 hours ఐ కెన్ పే ద ఫీస్. I don't need to take anything from India. Adi, it is not possible. The 20 hours of legal work will only fetch you enough money to add to your survival, but it will not help you with the fees. So that is something, it is absolute no. So please apply for universities that have lesser fees, like we are talking about different pathways, like you can go to a community college, then move into a university. So you can reach out to us at Education USA India USIF, and we will help you what are the different paths you can take. But please do not think that your 20-hour work is going to fetch you fill the fees. That is not going to happen.
So a very valid and a very useful point.
Yeah.
Thanks థ్యాంక్స్ ఫర్ యాడింగ్ దట్ సుజనా, దట్ 20 గంటల అంటే అధికారికంగా మీరు చట్టబద్ధంగా 20 గంటలు పని చేసుకోవచ్చు స్టూడెంట్గా ఉంటూ, వారానికి 20 గంటలు ఆన్ క్యాంపస్ వారానికి 20 గంటలు మాత్రమే పని చేయవచ్చు. అదనంగా ఉద్యోగాలు చేయడం, పనిచేసి సంపాదించే ప్రయత్నం చేయడం ఉల్లంఘన అవుతుంది, రూల్స్కి ఉల్లంఘన అవుతుంది. కాబట్టి ఆ 20 గంటల్లో వచ్చే ఆదాయం ఏదైతే ఉందో అది ఖచ్చితంగా ఫీజు మొత్తం భర్తీ చేయడానికి అయితే సరిపోదు. కాబట్టి ఇది అదనంగా ఖర్చులకి పనికొచ్చే డబ్బు మొత్తం ఎంతో $10 $15 ఉంటుంది పర్ అవర్, అంతకంటే ఉండదు. కాబట్టి సో అది దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకుని ఫైనాన్షియల్గా ప్లాన్ చేసుకోవాలి. అదనపు డాక్యుమెంట్స్ ఏమీ అవసరం లేకుండా కావాల్సిన మాత్రం పెట్టమని అడుగుతున్నారు. అండ్ సుజన, మీ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్లో ఇప్పుడు మనం ఎలాగో ఇది మొత్తం అంతా చెప్తున్నాం కాబట్టి విద్యార్థులకి, ఇంతవరకు ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ఏదైతే ఉందో ఫాల్ సెమిస్టర్కి అప్లై చేయాలంటే ఎప్పటి నుంచి ప్రాసెస్ వర్క్ మొదలు పెట్టాలి?
సో ప్రాసెస్ స్టార్ట్ చేయాలంటే 12 to 18 months ahead of when you want to go.
It's 12 to 18
months ahead.
So I can't decide in summer and just say I'm going there for fall. No, it doesn't work that way.
No, not to. You can submit an application, but you might not be able to submit a successful application.
Right.
So 12 to 18 months ahead start early. This includes the time you're going to give yourself to prepare for your exams, write the tests, TOEFL, GRE, GMAT, whatever is the requirement. And then at Education USA, we came up with these 5 steps that will simplify the process and put timelines to the process. And like, you know, if a student, will guide them through that process, and if a student follows that process, it's very easy to, the whole process is very easy. So step 1 is about how do you go about shortlisting a university based on your requirements. Okay. Step 2 వచ్చి finances ni etla plan చేసుకుంటాం, but how do you budget our finances, scholarships, international students ki available scholarships enti, what are the available scholarships for international students. Number 3 వచ్చి application process లో letter of recommendation is extremely important. Letter of recommendation మనము referees ఇచ్చినప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి అంత టైం ఉండాలి, అంత టైం ఇవ్వాలి. Deadline is a deadline, that's it. There is no extended deadline in the US. And number 4 is getting yourself familiarized with the visa process. And then number 5 is departing to the US. How do you settle down in the new culture, new education system? What are some of the do's, some of the don'ts and all? అట్లా వచ్చి ఆ ప్రాసెస్ మొత్తం అట్లా డిజైన్ చేసినప్పుడు it becomes very simplified and easy.
So I think a lot of information has come our way today, Sujana. So before we wind up, C.G. Larson, as far as other visa categories are concerned, how are we doing at the US consulate in Hyderabad? Do we have slots opening up, or is it still very difficult to?
We still do have extended wait times that are a holdover from the pandemic. We are doing our utmost to bring those down as much as possible, and that includes things like what Amy had mentioned, Saturday surges where people come in to work voluntarily to do processing of visa applications, hiring more and more people to be able to fill those windows that we have. And so it's going to be a process, but as Amy also mentioned, we're in a better position than we were a year ago, and it's just going to get better. But there still are wait times, and it is extremely important to us, to our ambassador in Delhi, and to even President Biden, to bring these down so that we can facilitate legitimate travel for Indians, people all over the world, but especially here in India, to go to do the things that are important to them, whether it's to be studying or to visit family or to go to a wedding or something like that. I mean, this is really important to us because we're such two close nations, and we understand the desire to go to the US, and we really want to make that as much possible for as many people as we can.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your experience. ఇది అంటే విదేశీ విద్యల్లో ముఖ్యంగా అమెరికాకి వెళ్ళి చదువుకోవడం అనేది రాను మరింత సరళతరం కూడా అవుతుంది. సరే, చిన్న సమస్యలు, వీసా వెయిట్ టైమ్స్, వీటన్నిటికీ కూడా పరిష్కారాలు ఉంటున్నాయి. కాబట్టి సరైన యూనివర్సిటీని ఎంచుకోవడం, సరైన పేపర్ వర్క్ తయారు చేసుకోవడం, ఇంటర్వ్యూ కోసం ప్రిపేర్ అవ్వడం, అండ్ అలాగే వెళ్ళి అనుకున్న కళలని సాకారం చేసుకోవడం మాత్రమే మనం చేయవలసిన పని అని చెప్తున్నారు వాళ్ళందరూ. కాబట్టి విషింగ్ యూ ఆల్ ద బెస్ట్, అండ్ థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ వాచింగ్ సాక్షి.